Hello, everyone. Welcome to this afternoon's Timely Topics. My name is Michaela Hartle, a program assistant at CCEI. And today we have Jeremy Bronen, who is a CCEI program alum. He's going to be talking to us about passion, persistence, and recognizing the malleable world. Jeremy, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Michaela. Yeah, so a little informal here today. I'll just kind of go through myself, my company, and maybe some of the lessons learned along the way. So just going through the deck here, I founded a company called SedMed. We're a mobility products company. Really, what we're after is that the world wasn't designed for everyone, so we're here to change that, specifically for mobility products. So a little bit about myself. I grew up in Woodbridge, Connecticut, right next to New Haven, where the best pizza in the country is, of course. I went to UConn for mechanical engineering. Really, actually, to dial it even further back from that is I grew up in my dad's workshop in the basement, fixing things, building things, whatever, and really fell in love with that. And then I was like, all right, great, I want to go to UConn. Because I like building things, I'll be an engineer. So I went to UConn, did mechanical engineering, very quickly learned that it was not what I wanted at all. And it was incredibly technical. Stuck with it, got the background in engineering, and then started to really catch a bug for, not just creating things and creating products, but, you don't release a product into the world. You don't build the product, you build the company. That company sells that product, makes that product, brings it out in the world. So then I really caught the startup bug. And that started with me actually doing, if anybody's familiar with Indiegogo, Kickstarter. So going online, finding the next new, supposed big tech gadget or whatever. I got a pen that was a fidget toy, kind of dumb stuff, a wrist that was the first smartwatch, actually, the Pebble. And then I started working at startups. So that transitioned to me interning at, over the next 4 years, 3 startups, actually come to 4 startups, just doing various roles and kind of getting to understand the culture, the tumultuous environment, et cetera, and what it was like, at ground zero. And then finally I was with some family friends and, working at another startup, and I kind of realized, and they helped me realize, why am I working for other people? Why am I not just doing this myself? Why am I not if I'm taking the risk working at somebody else's company, why don't I just do it? So I'll just pause on myself for a little bit and the origin of the company and just talk about, I think a big part of entrepreneurship is building a really impressive team that's very capable. And I won't go into too much detail about this team for right now, but I really can't stress enough how important it is to network and find the appropriate people that can help build your company. So I was able to get a mentor that turned into an investor, and then an advisor, and then a chief commercial officer. His name's Glenn Bear. Connected with him through my high school, actually. He's a successful guy out of Westport in sales and manufacturing. Joe Constantine's been in healthcare, medical sales for about 25 plus years. And then actually, as of about 2 weeks ago, I onboarded our CFO, who was a part of 2 separate startup acquisitions in the $100 million range. So he was a really fantastic hire to really smarten me up, because I'm an engineer, so smarten me up financially. So, I digress. Getting into the origin of our company and what we do. So Tim, actually, some of the CCI folks might not know this right now, but Tim was a previous co-founder of this company. Tim left the company to be a full-time dad and really focus on that. That happened a few months ago, but he was living with a woman named Grandma Grace, close family friend. She suffered from a stroke, became wheelchair bound, and something needed to be done. So that's when he and we decided to do something. And so, skipping from the problem for a sec, what we started to really focus on was mobility solutions and mobility products. So our first product is a toilet lift that helps older adults, people with disabilities, get on and off the toilet without requiring any electricity, motor, wiring, anything like that. Totally self-powered, mechanically powered. And this is a huge solution to a huge problem, that, basically people that are older adults get injured, they fall, sometimes they die. There's a huge dignity and pride aspect of this. And there's also huge financial cost to healthcare institutions. My slides are a little bit out of order, so I'm sorry if I'm jumping back and forth here. But so where we are today as a company is we've raised just shy of $1 million in grant funding and funding. We have a PCT out for our patent and a patent application, and we're actually piloting our technology at a number of healthcare institutions. Actually, slowly, but actually very shortly, moving our way into some of the biggest health systems in Connecticut in the next few weeks here. And these are try-to-buy programs. We have 250 units in production that'll be due by the end of the year. We've received investment from Connecticut Innovations, Connecticut's largest venture capital arm, and we're launching consumer pre-orders and purchase orders pretty much in the next 6 months. For the board of the company, I'm the chairman. Just brought on Chris Allen as another board member. Chris Allen was the CEO of a couple companies that same companies that Kelly McIntyre, CFO, sold. So long story short, I brought in Chris, Kelly, and another guy, Mike. These three individuals sold their company for one $50 million and then another like $57 million. And they've done this multiple times. They know how to do it. They've been through the tough days and they've been through the good days. I brought first Chris, then Mike, and now Kelly onto the team in different roles. Kelly's an officer, Chris is a board member, and Mike Daigle is a advisor to help steer our ship in the right direction here. And then another critical aspect that I can't hammer enough on the networking piece for both your core members of your company, whether it's your employees or your officers, but also building a sounding board in terms of an advisory board of kind of industry experts, whether it's, the CEO of a couple $1 billion healthcare orgs, serial entrepreneurs, engineering, financial, healthcare, operations, manufacturing, marketing, industry specific. It's so key to bring on key industry experts. And with that comes team growth. I'm actually hiring right now for a project engineer, soon to be a marketing intern this summer, paid role, and then probably another salesperson by the end of this year as well. This is just a slide that I like to highlight, showing the process of our iterations. And this actually started with summer fellowship at CCI, and I mean, it has gone through crazy iterations to get to where we are at now. So that's the main gist of the slide deck on the company, kind of in poorly sorted and pitched for this. But in terms of what I want to talk about, which was, passion, persistence, and recognizing the malleable world, which credit to Ali Davenport for that phrasing, is I would not be able to work on SedMed if I was not passionate about it. I mean, the sheer number of hours that I work per week and the, the sacrificing that I have to do, whether it's on vacation or whatever it is, just always, dialed into my phone. And, when an investor calls or texts or whatever, the amount of sacrifices you have as an entrepreneur in a company that is trying to hockey stick up, from 0 to 1,000 immediately it's pretty tumultuous, and it's pretty stressful on your mind and body and just everything. But for me, I find that I'm pretty lucky. I think I'm pretty lucky because we're able to not just build a successful company that can, have great returns for employees and investors, but we can help people, right? So for instance, I was able to, our first long-term pilot customer down in St. Louis, I was able to talk to the first person that's been using our product for a couple weeks, get on the phone with her and just say, hey, how you liking it? What's going on? And I got to hear from her mouth how, this is a stroke victim, 275 pounds, electric scooter bound, not able to really move. I was able to hear from her voice how this product changed her life and how she's no longer in pain. She feels independent, and how they were supposed to move the product around so they could test it with multiple people. And she said, wait, I don't want to give it up. I want to keep it. And for me, not only is it validating that, we're doing the right thing and the company's going to move in the right direction, but the impact that this made on this woman's life, that lights a fire within me. And that fire enables me to do the crazy, stuff that I do in order to make this company work, in terms of being pulled in 20 directions every single day, and getting everything together and still getting everything done. So the passion is really important. And then, separately, this kind of ties in with persistence. I'm actually talk about timely topics. I'm coming off of a really bad back injury. I threw my back out. I torqued it a couple weeks ago. That's also one of the reasons I'm standing. And I literally couldn't walk. I have chronic back pain. Nothing diagnosed. It's just like I literally am very susceptible to throwing my back out. I couldn't walk. I had to, at one point I was crawling on the floor to grab a bottle of water from the kitchen. I mean, it was really bad. I could have used the SedMed in the bathroom if I had it. But so you begin to, learn and empathize with, at least for us, our users and who's struggling. But also during that time, I'm not working in a corporation where I can say, hey, I'm sorry, I can't even, I have to stay completely horizontal. I can't do any work right now. I'm sorry, boss, I can't do this. Give me a break for a sec. Like, I am in charge of my own destiny and my company, right? So if I can't work, it's my salary that's on the line. I pay myself from SedMed. It's my equity, which is my net worth, is tied in this company. So I had a grant to write for $500,000 while my back was like in peril. And I had to meet with an investor down in Brantford, wearing, different topical anesthetics and a back brace. And I had to make it work because, I got no other options. And it's you have to own everything. You have to own your destiny with starting a company, and you have to own the good times and the bad times, is really what it comes down to. And then I think with the passion as well, I'm one of those ADHD founders that is, I'd say, hyper focused, right? It's both a good thing and a bad thing. Like, no matter what, SedMed's always kicking in the back of my brain. I'm talking to somebody and they mention one thing and that gives me a good idea. And then I'm like, I have to pair off, write a note down on my phone about what to do later or something. So keeping that passion and that hyper focus on the company is important. And I don't really have too much else here. I guess I wanted to bring up, I like more, I like more Q&A than just speaking if I didn't really have anything prepared. But I guess on the front of persistence, you really you gotta not take nothing for an answer. One of my good investors taught me this. I've had to bother the same investor about 10 times before I got a check from them. And I got absolutely nothing, no words from them, calling, texting, emailing, voicemails, whatever, was getting absolutely no response from them until, maybe attempt number 10 or 15 from me, where they were finally like, oh yeah, let's meet up. Right. So just on the front of persistence, in all aspects, you can't take nothing for an answer, but you can take no for an answer. This felt very disorganized, but I don't think I really had too much else here.
Jeremy, I have a question for you. Was there a point during your journey, like a pivotal point, where you like learned something along the way that you didn't necessarily expect to, that has made a large role in your journey?
Hmm. Um, yeah, yeah. I think it was actually when I was with Chris Allen, that CEO and founder, serial entrepreneur. I was talking to him and I was just like, hey man, like tell me what my greatest weaknesses are and my greatest strengths are. And he kind of hit me with it. And he basically was like, hey, your greatest weakness is sometimes you just think too much. You analyze and you get stuck in this analysis paralysis. And that you need to just move. You need to move and make mistakes and ask for forgiveness. That was actually only a couple months ago. And since then, I've been moving a lot. I've been firing emails, not going crazy, but like I'm not getting stuck anymore, which feels really good to just really, put my foot on the pedal. And if I have to ask for forgiveness or make a mistake, I'll make it quick rather than slow.
Awesome. And I do want to open up the questions to the audience. If anyone has questions, you can either unmute or throw a question in the chat. So I'll give a couple minutes to let people ask any questions.
I have a question. So great job, Jeremy. I just get so happy every time I hear updates and everything from you because you've come such a long way. The point that I loved was the note about passion. I think that passion is one of those things that really drives entrepreneurs. But the thing that I want to highlight is you weren't necessarily born with this particular passion to launch a toilet seat lift to support those that need it, right? Like, so this passion was born out of this process of uncovering a problem, which I think some entrepreneurs like don't know how to get started if they don't necessarily feel like really super passionate about what they're doing, or they feel like, when does the passion come in? So I just wanted you to just dive a little bit more in, and if you have personal components you want to share in relation to that.
Yeah, I actually think that ties back to CCI, and I think it was Einstein. Einstein like had a quote that was like, sometimes finding the real problem is harder than finding the solution, right? Finding the right problem is harder than finding the solution. I think that with us, we started at CCI and, we had an idea. It was, you could see V1 and V2 here. It was an electric toilet lift. We were like, let's do this, this is a problem and we have a solution here. And what we ended up actually coming out of that was a massive pivot to a totally different product. But I think back to, yeah, the kind of, sorry, one more time that you asked about
It was kind of a long-winded way of me saying that you weren't necessarily born with this passion, that you were like, this is the thing I'm going to go solve. It's not, you stumbled upon this over the course of your time at UConn and beyond, that you decided this is going to be your thing. So I just kind of wanted to get your perspective on how that all rolled out and make that a point so that everyone didn't feel like a business idea that they may or may not have has to be born out of this like deep passion that they've had since they were a kid, or this burning desire to launch something. This wasn't your story and you've been very successful.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I hear what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, I definitely did not wake up, when I was 6 years old and go, I want to be a toilet entrepreneur. No, I mean, definitely love the throne, love my toilet, love my bidet, squatty potty. I got all the good toilet tech separately, and I can own that because now I work with toilets for a living. But no, it was exactly that. It was stumbling into this, and honestly going through CCI and you telling me, hey, do summer fellowship. Hey, there's also a stipend if you need that time and money to function that summer. But yeah, I think you can find passion with any company you work at or startup you work at. For me, I dove deep into kind of my own empathy, not just with my own back problems, but like, the more I dive into this product and this problem and customer discovery in terms of what people are struggling with, the more I became passionate about it and the more I owned that problem and owned our solution. And it's just kind of this loop of just like, now I'm tuned into this. And I'm tuned into people that struggle with, different problems like this.
It looks like we have a question in the chat from Caitlin. Do you have any advice for handling rejection in business?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was actually thinking about that today. So I met with a person, can't say who it was, but I met with a person like a few weeks ago that it wasn't actually even for investment because we're not raising right now. This is a guy that's, maybe started $1 billion company. And his net worth is in the hundreds of millions, and not the first time. I've spoken to a number of people that are, hundreds of millions dollars net worth. When you start a company, you have to be able to take rejection, not just from people saying, random people, right? You have to be able to take rejection from people that are like industry, titans. And maybe not your industry, but like similar or different industries, and just take that rejection and kind of turn your cheek and then go to the other cheek. I think that rejection sucks, but it's kind of like what I was saying before. Not getting an answer is worse than rejection. Rejection is like great. If you get a no out of somebody, it's like, all right, fine. Thank you for your time. See you later. If you get nothing out of somebody, you don't stop until they tell you to stop. So long as you're not like, stalking them or going crazy, but like you don't stop reaching out to them until they get back to you. And the rejection kind of, that piece of it gets, I don't know, easier. I mean, like I was raising money in a down economy, right, for our seed round. And there were several times where I felt like I was at the end of the rope. Most of those times did not have to do so much with rejection, just by the amount of opportunity that was around. I think if you go ahead and you look at podcasts like How I Built This with Guy Raz and other things, I mean, any entrepreneur that built a successful company faced an enormous amount of rejection, right? Burton Snowboards, which is a massive snowboards company. The guy was going around in his car selling snowboards out of his trunk. And now they're a global brand. And this person maybe went to like 200 people before he got his first sale, whatever it was, that crazy number. So you don't have to be comfortable with rejection going into starting a company or going into early stage of a business. But you'll get comfortable with it, and it will, you'll be okay with it. Hope that answered that.
And it looks like we have one last question in the chat. How did you know it was the right time to go full-time into your business?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for me, there are a number of factors that go into that. And then you have to answer the personal one as well, I think, first, right? What are your personal liabilities? I mean, for me, I'm not married. I don't have kids. I don't have a mortgage. So, my risks at that stage were less. And then it's also about having the funds to do it, right? Like I have a salary. You need to have either money circled, money coming in. You need to have the funds in order to go full time on your business, paying yourself. And then you need to be okay with taking the risk that, your salary at times can be deferred. Your salary in terms of how far away you can see how many months of runway you have can sometimes look scary. I think that the big thing for me was, we started to have money circled. And I started really seeing the problem that we were solving was massive. I was starting to validate it in our market, and I was starting to validate our solution. So with the product market fit validated, and with money circled or in the company to pay myself, that's really when that came about.
Great, thank you. And as we're closing up, I do want to just say, I know I speak for the CCI team when I say, looking at this product iteration, you've come so far. I know we're all really proud of how far you have come in the short amount of time, and we're very excited to see where the next few years bring you. So thank you so much for joining us today and discussing something that we could all relate to and taking us through your journey. I really appreciate that. And if anyone in the audience would like to connect with Jeremy, you can feel free to reach out to me and I can connect the two of you via email, or you could find him on LinkedIn. And if you don't mind, Jeremy, could you please click to the last slide?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And our next timely topics is going to be at the end of this month, Made in Connecticut, Staying in Connecticut with Adam Rodriguez. So please RSVP to that and tune in to hear another journey. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks.